Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly excited you're here. Today, we are taking a massive deep dive into the stunning cosmic world building of a brand new universe. Seriously, if you appreciate meticulously crafted lore and massive reality-bending stakes, you are absolutely going to love what we're looking at today. We're breaking down the very first chapter of the Aetherverse. We'll unpack the art, decode the dialogue, and figure out exactly how this story sets its foundation. Let's jump right in.
Just listen to the sheer scale established in these opening lines. A realm beyond time, a power beyond gods. Instantly, we are ripped completely out of the mundane and thrown into this epic, timeless conflict. The source material, it doesn't waste any time with slow exposition, right? It hooks us immediately by establishing a hierarchy where even gods are outranked by whatever's about to go down.
So Part 1, the Aether's arrival. To really understand our heroes, we first have to understand the catalyst at a macro level. Notice how the lore defines the Aether. The text tells us that when it fell upon our world, it wasn't just acting like a mindless natural disaster or some random mutation. It literally says it didn't just change nature, it chose champions. So the absolutely crucial point here is that the Aether is sentient. It has a purpose. It looked at our world and actively selected specific individuals to protect a single universe.
And how exactly did it make those selections? Well, this brilliantly illustrates the thematic core of the whole story. The text gives us this highly rhythmic, powerful contrast, not by blood, not by birth, but by destiny. You know, in so many stories, power is just inherited. It's a royal bloodline or genetic lottery. But here, the Aether completely circumvents all of that. These individuals are united entirely by fate. And for us as the audience, this really matters because it democratizes the power. It means the fate of the universe rests on ordinary people thrust into extraordinary circumstances rather than some unreachable royalty. Check out the massive, swirling blue rift hovering right over Earth, surrounded by these colossal floating monoliths. I mean, the scale is just terrifyingly beautiful. And the text locks in the stakes for us. 5 beacons, 5 powers, 5 nations, 1 universe to protect. It's an incredibly heavy burden, distributed across the entire globe.
Moving on to Part 2, the 5 chosen champions. Okay, so we've seen the big cosmic event. Now we need to look at the actual roster. The source material really goes out of its way to anchor these massive godlike powers to very specific, recognizable locations on Earth. We've got Vortex in New York, Nexus in Tokyo, Titanus out in the frozen wastes of Siberia, Phantom lurking in the shadows of London, and Celestia radiating power down in Brazil. It's a truly global defense force. Pretty much every continent and environment is represented in this lineup.
Part 3, Earthly Elements and Energy. We can break these champions down to really understand what they bring to the table, starting with the heroes whose powers seem deeply, intrinsically connected to their physical environments. Look closely at the distinct visual motifs contrasting Vortex and Titanus. On one side, we have Vortex framed against the highly structured modern cityscape in New York, surrounded by this swirling, volatile green energy. And then on the other side, Titanus is totally isolated in the harsh, icy wasteland of Siberia, his own body cracking with glowing magma-like heat. It's a brilliant, brilliant contrast of the modern urban environment against the raw, ancient wilderness. And Vortex's mentality is just fascinating. He says, "I don't control energy, I become it." This isn't someone who views his power as just a tool to be wielded. No, it's a total assimilation. He is entirely fluid, essentially surrendering his physical form to the raw power of the Aether. Now contrast Vortex's fluidity with Titanus's sheer, defiant resilience. Titanus flat out declares, "The world tries to break me, I break the world instead." This guy is the ultimate immovable object. The harsh Siberian environment tried its best to destroy him, and rather than adapting like Vortex did, Titanus simply overpowers his environment through sheer, earth-shattering physical strength.
Part 4, Masters of Space and Time.
So, if Vortex and Titanus totally dominate the physical realm, these next 3 literally warp reality itself. And the visual storytelling here is just stunning. We move from Tokyo's electric neon purples wrapping around Nexus to the heavy, gothic, almost monochromatic darkness of Big Ben and London, completely shrouding Phantom. And then, a massive shift to Brazil, where Celestia is bathed in this blinding, divine gold. The artist is expertly using color palettes to communicate their domains.
Starting with Nexus, she says, "Time isn't linear. I shape what others fear." What you should really take away from this is that her power isn't just your standard time travel. It's deeply psychological. She understands the fluid nature of time and actually weaponizes the abstract concept of fear. She's shaping reality based on what terrifies her opponents the most.
Then we have Phantom, who brings an incredibly cryptic, almost warning-like vibe to the team. I am the shadow between realities. You can't see me, because you shouldn't. He is the ultimate unseen operator. If Nexus shapes the timeline, Phantom is operating in the dark, empty spaces between the lines. He is the ultimate stealth variable in this entire universe.
And finally, we hit the absolute highest ceiling of power on this roster, Celestia. Stars are born from my breath, and galaxies end by my will. She represents the sheer cosmic scale of the Aether made manifest in a human host. We are talking about literal galaxy-ending capabilities here, folks. This is the ultimate heavy hitter.
Which brings us to Part 5, United by Destiny.
The lore now has to somehow synthesize these wildly overpowered characters into a single unit. Check out how it all comes together right here. The artwork physically brings their 5 distinct color palettes, the green, the purple, the shadow, the gold, into a perfect symmetrical lineup facing a swirling, aggressive, interdimensional rift. They're not in their respective countries anymore. They are standing on the front lines together.
And the text uses this beautiful rhythmic repetition to just hammer the point home. We come from different lands, we carry different powers, but the Aether unites us. Despite all those radical differences in background, environment, and physical capabilities, the sentient choice of the Aether supersedes absolutely everything.
And this is the culminating moment. Together, we are Aetherverse. They completely surrender their individual identities, Vortex, Nexus, Titanus, Phantom, Celestia, and merge into a single collective title. They literally become the very thing they are meant to protect. It's such an incredibly satisfying structural payoff to this first chapter of lore.
But honestly, it leaves us with one massive, terrifying question. If it takes this incredibly specific, insanely overpowered combination of individuals, someone who can literally end a galaxy by her own will, just to form the baseline defense force, what in the universe is coming through that rift? What ultimate threat requires this level of power just to be stopped? I gotta say, that to be continued tag has literally never felt more urgent. All right, thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.